Hey everybody, Daniel Gaines here. Just want to give an update real quick, let y'all know what's going on. The judge, the protective order uh, with Rachel Montgomery, the judge that was originally assigned, Carl Yates, he recused after I filed to disqualify him. Uh, he ignored the disqualification and took it as a recusal, claiming uh, late notice or late filing, whatever bullshit excuse it was. But the reality is that uh, he was gonna try and stay on the case. Didn't think I'd file anything until I did. Well, it was then given to a judge, Julie Hand, I believe is her name, and I have a recusal typed up. It was going to go to the courthouse tomorrow when I go file the lawsuit that I'm filing tomorrow. However, the other day, it was brought to my attention that Judge Hand recused already, citing a conflict of interest. Doesn't give what the conflict is, just says conflict of interest. I'm curious as to what that conflict is, if being honest. But either way, I was going to recuse her off the case, like I said in the last video, because I don't trust these judges. So, I don't have to worry about that. Now, in the last video, I also said that I was going to disqualify or recuse every judge who tried to get on this case until it went to the presiding judge, Judge Stacy. I stated how I was ultimately going to put Judge Stacy in a situation where I was going to request an outside judge be brought in. My ultimate goal was to have an outside judge brought in to address the protective order and eventually other things, but we'll get to that in due time. Well, today, just a little while ago, it was brought to my attention that Judge Stacy has clearly already gotten involved in things. See, Judge Stacy sent the protective order case, sent the filing to an en banc filing to the Supreme Court of Missouri, asking for them to assign a judge from an outside county to the case. So now there's a judge from, I think she said, Potosi, who's coming up to address the protective order. So essentially what I said I wanted to do in the courts, I didn't have to file a single fucking thing for it to happen. And that's not the first time that's happened. Texas had a court order against me at one point. Never filed a single thing in the state of Texas, never been to a single hearing in the state of Texas or anything, and yet that order disappeared. There's a court order in place against me in Missouri that there's a note that they're not going to enforce it. Despite what the courts say, it's not going to be enforced. Didn't file a single thing in the courts to achieve that. And yet, these things keep happening. So, not many people can say that they've gotten things done in court without ever filing something into the case. But yet, 3 separate times now, I can prove that that's happened. So it's curious. It's curious because what's the purpose? I mean, yeah, I put in a video that that's ultimately what I wanted. But see, Judge Stacy, the presiding judge, she had the authority to say, no, I'm going to address this. I'm going to deal with all this. And I'm going to show that, the judges in Jefferson County do actually comply with the law and protect people's rights. But no, instead, they're all running scared. They brought in an outside judge, and I didn't even have to file anything to do it. Why are all the judges in Jefferson County scared to go to deal with me in court? I mean, Carl Yates, I get why he didn't deal with me because I sued his ass. And, well, I'm going to again once everything's said and done. I already have grounds for a new suit, so, and this one's going to be harder for him to get out of and around. But I understand why he wouldn't touch a case. I understand Lester, old Stuckey, isn't going to be able to touch a case with my name attached to it after tomorrow because that lawsuit will be filed. But there's only one other judge as of right now in Jefferson County that I can pursue legal action against. I've been able to for over a decade. I'm just not sue happy, and it's why I didn't. However, if that judge is still a judge, they're going to run into problems in their career here real fucking soon, that I assure you. But not via a lawsuit, just whenever things get addressed in court. Now, there's only 3 judges, and I've only actually appeared in front of one. Well, 2 if you count Stuckey and Yates. But Yates didn't allow me to ask a single fucking question, didn't allow me to speak at all. So he didn't know anything until I sued his ass. And I think part of the problem is they know that because of the technicality, that's the only thing that saved his ass. I think even the Attorney General knew if they didn't get my documents thrown out, his immunity wouldn't have been intact. His immunity would have been gone and he would have been fucked. But it's curious why they'd assign an outside judge instead of any of these judges dealing with it. I mean, what are they going to say? Because of my video and that's what I wanted? Since when do judges give a fuck about what us peasants want? We all know that's true, but yet for some reason, without a single fucking document file, I was able to get what I wanted. Weird, isn't it? For the guy that doesn't know shit and is always wrong and, you know, got fucking mental problems or whatever else they want to say about me, it's weird how I'm always the exception to things. And again, I don't just say this, I can prove this. I'm the exception with a lot of things for some unknown fucking reason. And these people wonder why I have issues with them and what they do. I don't get it. Just like the superintendent of the school district that Rachel Montgomery works for. This motherfucker knows I want to address the board and expose him. So what's he doing? He's instructed Montgomery to make sure she's at every school board meeting so I can't attend. Literally. There's emails that confirm it. They set it up to where she will be at every board meeting so long as a protective order is in place, strictly for the purpose of preventing me from addressing the board. The problem is they think I don't have this information. Well, that's their problem. The reality is things that they send an email and text aren't secure. Not for me, anyway. Nice to have friends who you help. Whenever you actually help people deal with their custody issues and help them get more time with their children, when the courts are the ones getting on some bullshit because you teach them how to call the courts out on it and hold these people accountable, they tend to want to thank you. I just typically don't take anything but a thank you. However, I get an email saying, hey, you should read these documents or these text messages. And somebody who doesn't even live in this state, doesn't know any of these people, is given names and details, piques your curiosity, causes you to look. And in my case, well, I like what I found, what was found. Not what I found, but what I saw. It paints a picture, and it literally, they put it in writing. They're stupid enough to have put it in writing. Jason King, the superintendent's already confirmed Montgomery was at the last board meeting, even though her name wasn't on the agenda. So it's almost like they're trying to set me up to be arrested by not knowing she's there and me going there to attempt to speak, or there is no or. That might be one of the possibilities. However, the fact remains, King's having her there strictly to prevent me from speaking to the board. Because King thinks I don't know how to contact the board. Well, little does King know, later this evening, even though it's 8 o'clock now, but here shortly, there will be an email sent to all the board members, except the president, because he's involved in this with King. But the rest of the board members will be wow, I can't fucking talk. The rest of the board members will be made aware of exactly what King is doing. And they will be given the opportunity to ensure that my rights aren't violated and I'm allowed to address the board. If they don't, then they just screwed themselves even worse. They're already still screwed because for more than a year now, they've had the video and the protective order, and they failed to address any of that. So they're already screwed there. However, what that is, and I'm going to find out, don't worry, I'll have proof, but is what I believe it is King, the superintendent, got the information from the lawyer, knew that it would expose him in Montgomery, and since I already told the board they were lying to him anyway, which pissed King off, and wait till y'all see the video of that school board meeting, y'all see he's pissed off, because I expose him. I think King intentionally withheld information from the board, because had the board have seen the video of the day in question, the one that I posted whenever I posted the protective order, I posted it on YouTube without the audio for now. The audio version will be made available in due course. That I promise. But they've got the audio version and everything else. They've had it. So they can't claim they didn't know. And if they admit to the fact that they've seen the video and the protective order, then they know it was falsified. They know the trespass was based on lies. And then they're guilty of violating their oath of office for not addressing that when they were obligated to via their oath. What I think it is, because there's a couple of board members who I think would have, at least one for certain, who would have spoke up to cover her ass. And she's going to be my star witness. She just doesn't know it yet. But I think at least she would have spoke up, and probably another one or two would have as well. Because there's a couple that have younger kids. I don't think they're going to risk any potential career they may have down the line because of, or ambitions or goals or whatever, because of lying to cover up for somebody else. That's not part of their, family. I mean, I guess they could consider themselves family, all working together, but actual family. You know what I'm saying? Either way, I don't think King's keeping them informed of a lot of the things that was presented in the lawsuit. However, I know for a fact King is concealing vital information from the board members. He's concealed the fact that him and Montgomery came up with the lies. He's concealing the fact that he's the one who approached Montgomery with the idea of the protective order. He's concealing the fact that whenever he was given the version of events, it didn't allow him to do what he wanted, so he allowed things to be altered and changed to better fit his end game, which was my removal from the property. See, Jason King is scared that I'm going to expose him to the point that he actually loses his job. And it's a very valid fear. He should be afraid, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try. One way or another, that motherfucker's getting fired, and if I can help it, he's going to prison for his shit. And Rachel Montgomery is going to be the key. See, this time, no matter which judge it is that hears this, they're not going to have a choice but to let me speak. They're going to have to comply with the judicial canons and allow me an opportunity to present my case this time. And when they do, I'm going to do the same thing I always do whenever I'm dealing with lies in court. I'm going to address each and every fucking lie, point by point, with video and audio direct evidence. And when it's proven that she intentionally falsified it, she's screwed. Now, seeing as she did it in her official capacity as a public servant, whenever I prove she lied, I'm going to bring up punitive damages. Now, see, here's the interesting part. The judge that does address this, if they don't address the perjury, which is a felony violation of law, and they don't address punitive damages because it was filed in her official capacity as a high school principal, the judge who doesn't do those things and still finds that the order was falsified, which is all they can do if they're going to comply with the law, for them to ignore those issues after saying that she did in fact falsify it and throws it out, that's an intentional, malicious, and blatant 14th Amendment violation. Equal protection clause of the 14th Amendment specifically. So that means this new judge coming in, when I prove she falsified it and the judge acknowledges it, the judge then is in a very tight spot. He either has to send the criminal referral over for the felony that she's guilty of, or face a lawsuit themselves. They also have to assess damages for the fact that she intentionally falsified this for the purpose of keeping me off the property and violating my rights, causing injury. I wasn't allowed to see my son or daughter's, choir or marching band performances. My son's in marching band, daughter's in choir. But I was forced to miss those and everything else because of her lies. So that all has to be addressed. And the instant the judge assesses punitive damages, well, King, the school board, Carl Yates, and everybody else involved is automatically fucked. So it's a very interesting spot they're in. And again, a judge coming from an outside county, is he really going to risk his career for these people? That's a big ask. Because, see, the reality of it is, the first lawsuit I ever filed in my life, I do things pro se. So, naturally, the courts kicked it because issues with my documents. Even though pro se litigants are allowed to make errors in their documents, courts ignore that a lot of times. But either way, the courts threw out the lawsuit. However, for every reason they stated in the lawsuit against Stuckey that'll be filed tomorrow, every one of those issues are covered. So they won't be able to throw it out saying the same thing, which means it's going to get harder and harder and harder to throw out each time. So third or fourth time, they won't be able to throw it out at all because they won't have any reason to do so, which means it's going to proceed and progress. Is this judge from an outside county really going to risk being the one that it proceeds against? Like I said, are they really going to risk their career and their livelihood to run cover for these corrupt public servants in a different county? Might. I mean, the judiciary in the state of Missouri is fucked beyond corrupt. So, might. But somehow or another, I don't think so. I've been wrong before about judges, but I don't know. I don't see this one going the same way as the previous one did, though. Not for Montgomery, anyway. And I'm for it. The only thing left she could do that could make this any worse would be to pull her filing, which would be an admission that she falsified the whole thing anyway. Now that it's not going to the judge who's guaranteed to allow it, the only way she could literally make it worse is to pull the filing. Like I said, that would essentially just be an admission that she falsified it. And that's literally the only thing that can make this worse for her at this point. Nothing else she can do. It can't get any worse. She's fucked. Like I said, video speaks for itself, and I know how to address protective orders. But whenever a judge watches the video and instantly says, I'm granting it without even allowing me a chance to talk, ain't much anyone can do there, is there? But this time, I'll be allowed to speak first. Guaranteed. because the video ain't even going to be played until I'm done speaking. And then and only then will the judge see the video. And seeing as it's not submitted in the case yet, and won't be until the day of the hearing, so that way they can't do anything behind my back. Well, let's see how this goes for her. But yeah, that's where things stand. Protective order is still in limbo. There's an outside judge coming from Potosi, I believe it is, and that's who's going to deal with it. So now I'm curious is that they're going to bring in an outside judge for the criminal trespass and this lawsuit, because, well, the trespass isn't staying in the municipal court. I'll guarantee that, one way or another. That will not be staying there. That'll be going to the circuit court. So now it's a matter of which judge is going to address it. Aside from that, this lawsuit, well, seeing as it's against the judge, it's going to have to go to an Article 3 judge, and that's potentially problematic for Jefferson County, because I don't know if there's any Article 3 judges in Jefferson County, and only an Article 3 judge has the authority to deal with constitutional violations. See, they think people are stupid and nobody knows any of this stuff. Some of us do. So this judge from Potosi, if he's not an Article 3 judge, he's already disqualified anyway. Doesn't have the authority to address the issues. Can't preside over the case. Doesn't have the jurisdiction or authority. So, y'all are watching my videos. I know y'all are. You better come correct. Otherwise, it's just going to keep getting worse for y'all. Like I said, everything y'all are doing is just giving me more and more evidence. Everything y'all do. Because I understand what things mean. I understand how they're interpreted in law and all that. I told you dumbasses, I've been dealing with this shit for more than 20 years. Y'all probably should have fucking listened when I told you. I understand y'all hear shit from people all the time, threats of lawsuits, that they know what they're talking about, blah, 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 and they're all full of shit. I agree with that. But y'all occasionally, y'all know for a fact, you occasionally come across those very rare pro se litigants who actually do know their shit. Who actually do know what y'all are doing and can articulate how it's not allowed. Well, when it comes to me, I'm that motherfucker. I'm your huckleberry. For those of you who don't know, a huckleberry is basically, it's a pallbearer. A hucklebearer was somebody who, before it became pallbearer back in the Old West and shit, a hucklebearer back in those days, early 1900s, a hucklebearer was one of the people who carried your casket. Basically, one of the people who buried you. So yeah, I'm gonna bury these people. I'm your hucklebearer. And I don't mean literally, before they accuse me of threats. I mean figuratively only. Bury them by exposing them, costing them their careers, their pensions, savings account, homes, whatever. Freedom. I'm taking everything I can get. And the sad reality is, all this simply because I wanted to be left alone. All they had to do was stop fucking with me, leave me alone. It really would have been that simple. I'd have shut my mouth, kept my head down, worked, did my thing, took care of my family, and that'd have been it. Ain't got no reason to say shit to nobody, ain't got no reason to bother nobody. I keep to myself anyway because I don't like people. People are stupid. Individuals are very intelligent. But people, when you get groups, the IQ drops. It's called group mentality, groupthink. And groups tend to be dumb. Plus, I don't like being out and about because, well, you see a lot of misconduct from public servants and public officials, and I just don't have the tolerance or patience for it. So, I tend to keep to myself. All I had to do was leave me alone. If they'd have left me alone, none of this would be going on. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I'll keep y'all posted on how things go. Trust me, y'all will see everything. Y'all are going to hear audio recording and video of court proceedings and everything, because they will not stop me from recording. Not without violating my rights. And in order for them to do that, they're not going to hold the hearing that day anyway, because I'll just simply walk the fuck out. What are they going to do? Violate my rights further by entering an order? Go ahead. Guarantees you have a lawsuit filed against you within a couple days to a week. So there'll be recordings. Here in a couple days, I'm also going to go ahead and put out some of the audio from Stuckey and the bullshit him and Dugan pulled, just so that way y'all can see I'm not making that up. Because again, say things, don't offer any proof. People tend to think you're lying. However, I still ain't been served a libel or slander lawsuit, and I brought that up several times. If I'm lying, they can sue me. It's one way to ensure my mouth shuts, isn't it? I'm saying false things, so they sue me. Well, guarantees I don't do it again. Otherwise, I just get sued again. Why ain't they sued me? If I'm lying, why ain't they filed lawsuits yet? I'm calling these motherfuckers outside their damn name, accusing them of some pretty serious shit, including 2 judges of treason. Prosecutors of treason as well. Why ain't they doing anything about it? Why aren't they disputing it? And see, again, you can even pull the federal lawsuit, Gaines versus Windsor et al. Windsor C1 School District, for specifics. But you can pull that, and you can read through every one of those documents, and you'll notice one thing is missing completely. And that's any claim of me being wrong. Typically in court documents, the attorneys will state that the other party is false, making false statements, false claims, falsely laying out facts, whatever else. They call it out, typically. Why has nobody said I'm wrong or I'm lying? Sometimes silence isn't in and of itself an admission. You do well to remember that. However, the reality is all the proof's coming out anyway, whether it's in court or not. And if these people settle to try and keep this shit out of the public view and out of the public eye, because a settlement would do just that when it gets to that point, down the line, not right now, but when it gets to that point, a settlement would keep it out of the courts, which means the courts, you wouldn't be able to go to the court's website to view those documents and see that evidence against them. So if they try to settle thinking that's going to do something, it's not. I'm still releasing everything publicly. And I won't enter into any agreement that says I can't. So, but yeah, that's where things stand. In a couple days, y'all will hear some audio recordings of what Stuckey and Dugan did during the Star Chamber session that they held, where they engaged in all kinds of misconduct, deprivation of rights, conspiracy, and everything else. Y'all will hear it. I'll even let y'all hear where the bailiff removed the witness from the courtroom and said that it was because the judge ordered it to. And then I'll also let y'all hear how about 30 minutes later, Stuckey himself even said, Sixth Amendment requires the courts to stay open. Can't close the courts, even though he just did. That's coming Friday, Saturday at the latest. So, but for now, y'all have a good one. Peace.